Welcome in to Texans today, everybody. I am your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and on today's program, PFF had a very interesting article where they named players for each team that would be a make-or-break player for that specific team. I'll tell you who they chose for the Texans, and then I'll give you my top 5 guys that will make or break the Texans 2025 season. It's going to come down to, a couple key guys on either side of the ball. So I'll tell you who I think is going to be the guys who are going to either help the Texans win it all or make it where they don't win the AFC South. So here's what PFF had at the beginning of their article to kind of break down what they were kind of ranking these guys on for each team. Every year, players throughout the NFL reach a crossroads in their careers and can single-handedly make or break the success of their team's season. Here's one make-or-break player for every NFL team for the 2025 season. So I want to know down in the comments section. I'm going to do a little bit something that I've never done before, a little bit different, right? I want as many people to comment on this video as possible, and I want to turn it into sort of a competition. So this is what it's going to be. I want you to go down and tell me who the make-or-break player on the Texans is, in your opinion, and give it to me. Tell me why. The best comment is going to get pinned at the very top of this video. I will pin your comment. Whoever comes up with the best reasoning on why they think this player is a make-or-break player. Maybe it's somebody on my top 5 list. Maybe it's somebody that I didn't mention in today's video, but the best comment, the most thought-out comment, I'm going to pin at the top of this video. So if you didn't read the article or don't know, this is who the PFF or the guys over at PFF thinks the Texans make-or-break player is in 2025. They think it's Tytus Howard, and here's why. Howard is the Texans' highest-graded offensive lineman returning from last season. He is also their most important lineman heading into the 2025 campaign, given his versatility and the unit's currently fluid situation. Howard could be asked to play guard, but he has earned just a 46.3 PFF overall grade across more than 1,500 snaps there in his career. That pales in comparison to his more respectable 73.2 PFF overall grade when asked to play tackle. The Texans' offensive line will likely play a big part in whether the team finds success this season, and Howard is a critical part of that equation. And I agree with PFF that Tytus Howard is an integral part to this Texans offensive line, and more importantly, this Texans offense and having a bounce-back year this year. But do I think he's the most important player for the Houston Texans? Do I think that he is the main guy that's going to make or break this season? In my eyes, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. As we look at the Texans offensive line, obviously he's going to be a huge part, which I've said, this past week, that him and Laken Tomlinson look like they've kind of solidified those guard spots for the Houston Texans. But this entire unit is going to be very, very important for this team moving forward into the 2025 NFL season. I mean, this entire offensive line, you got to look at those guys and say, hey, if we can improve just a little bit, if we were a bad O-line unit last year, if we can just be good, we can be average, this offense will be much better than the Texans offense was in 2024. So I need you to send the good vibes. Send it out there. Like the video if you want the O-line to play better next season. I know a lot of people are skeptical. You trade away Jeremy Chuggs, you get rid of, most of the starters you had on the O-line at the beginning of last year. But I'm putting faith in this coaching staff. I'm putting faith in these guys along the front 5 to at least be average, be a little bit better this year. Like the video, send those good vibes if you want the Texans O-line to be better this season. And coming up next, my top 5 make or break players for the Houston Texans in 2025. I'll tell you who I think the Texans' biggest make or break guys are. At number 5, I'm actually going with the other guard spot. I'm going with Laken Tomlinson, the other guard for the Houston Texans. I think he will be very important with how the Texans move about in 2025 along the offensive line, because he's going to be that anchor at the left guard spot. He's going to be somebody who we've seen it before with DeMeco Ryans. When he brought over Jimmy Ward in 2023, he was somebody who was like a tone setter, somebody who was supposed to, ingratiate everybody around him with that swarm mentality. And I think DeMeco Ryans wants that same thing for Laken Tomlinson. He doesn't only want him to be a great player for this team, he wants him to be a great leader, which has been highly debated this offseason whether or not the Texans had a toxic offensive line room this past year. I think he's saying, hey, I want somebody to step up. I want somebody to be a leader on this team, and that's exactly why I believe he brought in Laken Tomlinson. They were together in San Francisco when DeMeco Ryans was the defensive coordinator. I know different sides of the ball, right? But I really do think a lot is going to be on Laken Tomlinson's shoulders, and we've seen it. He's taken almost every single starting left guard rep for this team during the offseason, and I expect him to be the starting left guard week 1 for your Houston Texans. And honestly, this entire unit can make or break the season in all reality, right? I could have made a video on each and every single one of these guys on the screen on how they can make or break the Texans season this year. I do think Laken Tomlinson being one of the veterans that this team brought in, I mean, along with Cam Robinson at left tackle, I do think, though, because we have a lot of, blue chip guys in Ariante Ursery, Blake Fisher at the tackle spot, that makes Cam Robinson a little less important in my eyes, because behind Laken Tomlinson, I don't really view anybody else as a really, really good option at the left guard spot for the Houston Texans. I really think Tomlinson, when it comes to this season, is going to be somebody that when we look back is going to go, he really helped this Texans team, or, if he didn't play well, he really hurt this team in progressing moving forward. Now, let's go into the fourth guy on my list. This might surprise some people. I'm going to go with Nico Collins, wide receiver. I think he is a massive make or break player. He's already gotten paid, but in terms of, highest paid wide receivers around the NFL, I think Nico Collins by far outplays his contract more than anybody at the position. By far. I mean, the Texans got this guy in the mid $20 million a year mark when, other wide receivers are making $35 million a year. Nico Collins is, I think, the best bang for your buck wide receiver. And in my opinion, when he's at the top of his game, he's a top 5 receiver in this league. There, I said it. Nico Collins, he is one of those guys. I think the only thing that's held him back, and which has kind of held back the entire wide receiver room the past 3 years, is injury. Because when you look at this wide receiver room, you see wide receiver 1, and then I kind of, wide receiver 2 with Higgins, Knoll, and then Kirk as the wide receiver 4, but really all those other guys are interchangeable. The only thing that's not is the wide receiver 1 moniker, because it's Nico Collins by far. Full stop. Period. Right there. Nobody else. He needs to stay healthy this year. That's the one thing that's been wrong with Nico Collins during his tenure with the Houston Texans. That's the only bad thing I can talk about with Nico, is that he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And it's really important that he does this season for the Texans, because he's the only true wide receiver 1 this team has on their roster right now. There's a lot of good guys. There's a lot of talented guys in this wide receiver group. But whenever I look across the board, he's the only guy who I'm like, you know what? Other teams are going to have to plan around Nico Collins. Other teams are going to have to double team Nico Collins, because he is the most explosive and best receiver overall this team has. Last year in 12 games, he had over 1,000 yards, 14 catches of 20-plus yards. In 2023, almost 1,300 yards and 25 catches of 20-plus yards. He does it all. He's a possession guy. He's a down-the-field threat. He is a do-it-all receiver. And if Nico Collins can stay healthy for 17 games this season, the rest of the NFL better watch out, because the connection between him and Stroud is legit. And there's a massive difference in this Texans offense when Nico Collins is on the field versus whenever Nico Collins is off the field. And if he's able to be on the field for all 17 games, that makes this offense way, way more dangerous than it with him off the field. So we need Nico Collins to be healthy this year, because honestly, he can be a guy that makes or breaks this Texans offense. Now, coming up, I have my top 3 make or break guys for this Texans team in 2025. But before we get into that, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Fanatics. Are you trying to be swagged out with Texans gear during the summertime? I know it's tough, and people don't want to spend $50, $60, $70 on Texans, shirts, jackets, hats, all those things. I get it. These polos, I get that. But I got you covered. I have all the Texans clearance items over on Fanatics. So if you're trying to save a little bit of money but still be geared out with all the latest Texans stuff, I got you covered. All you got to do, go to chatsports.com/Texans Sale. A lot of these items might be, almost gone, be limited sizes. Go check them out today, because when they sell out, that's it. Go get the best prices over on Fanatics by using this link. One more time, it is clickable in the comment section and description of today's video. It's chatsports.com/Texans sale. I know you're trying to save $1 during this summertime. I got you covered. Just use this link and go check out all the cool gear we got for you over at Fanatics. Now, let's go back to my list of Texans make or break players for this season. At number 3, I'm going to go with Will Anderson Jr., defensive end, third-year player. And I think this is a make or break year for him in multiple facets, right? After this year, he can get paid. He can get an extension. And with a good season for Will Anderson Jr., he could find himself in the argument to be one of the highest paid non-quarterbacks in the entire National Football League. Last year, 37 tackles, 11 sacks, and alongside Danielle Hunter, made an argument for one of the best pass rush duos in the entire National Football League. He only played in 12 games, and he got 11 sacks. I mean, dude was on a tear last season. So if Will Anderson can step it up, I mean, we saw what happened to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl when he went up against that Eagles pass rush. If we can see a semblance of that with this Houston Texans team, I think we could be the best defense in the entire NFL. I think Will Anderson Jr. is poised to have his best season yet. Just kind of like what I said with Nico Collins. If he can stay healthy, this could be a massive year for him. And if he can do what I think he can do and, be one of the best, if not the best pass rusher in this entire league, I think the Texans will be one of the biggest threats in the entire AFC, because if Will Anderson Jr. can be a guy who maybe leads the league in sacks, like I think a lot of us think he can. I think everybody in this chat, everybody who's watching this video, if you're a Texans fan, truly believe in Will Anderson Jr. to be the next Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, TJ Watt level of player. He has the ability to do just that. So I'm going to ask you this question really quick, because I looked it over, and the most sacks he's ever gotten in his NFL and collegiate career was at Alabama. He had 17.5 sacks his sophomore season. So I'm going to ask you this. Over or under 17.5 sacks for Will Anderson Jr. this season? Producer Moose was laughing at me for putting out that number. Hey, I think it's very feasible. He got 11 sacks in 12 games last year. Just imagine if he played 5 more games, could he have gotten, 5.5 more sacks, 6.5 more sacks? I think that's very feasible for a guy like Will Anderson Jr. who can feast on most offensive tackles in the NFL. Let me know down in the comments section. Do you think he could go over or under 17.5 sacks? It's a big number, but I really do think he can do it. Let's go to my next guy on my Texans make or break players. And I'm going to go a little unconventional here. I'm going to go Kamari Lassiter. A little bit of a guy who was overlooked last year. His rookie campaign, in my opinion, one of the best rookie cornerback seasons of all time. This dude was, in my opinion, a top 20 corner in the league last year. He was insane. He was amazing, right? 58 tackles, 3 interceptions, 10 pass breakups for Kamari last year. And I really think going into year 2, if he can build on that year 1 and improve, this Texans defense, I don't want to get ahead of myself, might be one of the better units that this franchise has ever had. Last year, whenever he was targeted, a completion rate of 43.8%. And like I said, 10 PBUs, 3 interceptions, and he added on an interception in the playoffs as well. So this dude can ball. And I really think it's going to be a make-or-break year for him, because the Texans have the best corner in the NFL, and his name is Derek Stingley Jr. Him and Patrick Surtain are by far in a league of their own. It's those two guys, and then there's a massive tier break, and then the next guys in the cornerback room. I think because of that, you'll see teams not even target Derek Stingley Jr. They'll look at their wide receiver 2 option, and who's going to be guarding him? That's Kamari Lassiter. So I think he's going to be trying to get picked on, targeted a ton this season, because teams aren't going to want to throw in Derek Stingley's direction. And what does that lead? That leads Kamari Lassiter on the other side. And if he can lock up the other side where Derek Stingley's on this side, where are quarterbacks going to throw? They won't really have any options, and this defense, like I said, is going to be elite. And that leads me to my number 1 player. The number 1 guy that will make or break the Texans season, and I don't know how you have anybody else but this guy, in my opinion. I thought it was clear for me. It's C.J. Stroud, right? It's the quarterback. The quarterback is going to make or break this season for the Houston Texans, and his name is C.J. Stroud. Last year, had a dip, right? Sophomore, I'll say it, sophomore slump from his rookie campaign. had 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions last year. And we all know, he was better his rookie season, right? I mean, around the same completion percentage, but he had, in 2 fewer games, about 400 more yards, 3 more touchdowns, and 7 less interceptions. And the key number really is the sacks at the end, right? 38 sacks in 2023, got sacked 52 times in 2024. CJ Stroud will make or break this Texans season, and kind of like I was saying with Will Anderson Jr., this next offseason, CJ Stroud can get paid. So it is a vital year for Stroud on multiple fronts, right? I think he can take this team to heights we have never seen before. This team has never made a conference championship game, let alone even sniffed a Super Bowl chance. Never. And I think CJ Stroud can be the guy that puts this team on his back and can do just that if he proves what we all know, in that he's an elite quarterback. A lot of people are doubting him. A lot of people have him outside the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL going into 2025. And I get it. Whenever you look at it on the surface level and see how he played last season, I could understand why some people might have some hesitancy on how good CJ Stroud is. But when you watch his tape, when you watch all the games that he played last year, I think it is clear that CJ Stroud is the guy, and he's the one person on this Texans team, the one player that more importantly than anybody else will carry this team far in the playoffs. If CJ Stroud can have a good year, if he can have a bounce back season, I think this team, the sky's the limit. I have one more bonus for you guys, though. A bonus make or break guy, and it's not somebody that's going to put on any pads or a helmet this season. His name is Nick Caley. He has a lot on his shoulders. The new Texans offensive coordinator, with DeMeco Ryans being a defensive-minded coach, it's really on Caley. He's the one in charge of fixing this Texans offense in 2025. He's a first-time play caller, and if he can revitalize this Texans offense this season, I truly believe they are one of the top threats in the AFC to make it to the Super Bowl this season. I'm not afraid to say that because this defense is set to be a top 5 unit. If the offense can step up their game, other teams better watch out for this team in 2025. Now, that's all I got for you on this episode of Texans Today. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. And like I said at the top of the show, make your case. Let me know who you think is the make or break player for this team in 2025. The best comment that I see, I'm going to go ahead and pin that at the top of this video. If you want to continue the conversation, you can also hit me up on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. We have passed 30,000 subscribers. We're going for 50,000 subscribers because we are the #1 Texans channel here on YouTube for good reason, because we have the best community here on YouTube for because of great viewers just like you.